Welcome to the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by Vox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin.
Stephon Gilmore go to the Patriots. Now they let Mike Gillislee go to the Patriots. Are they now just the farm club within their own division?
Greg.
He's one of these faux leading women. It's like, that's not Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Aniston. It's some girl that I would see at the Circle K. That's kind of Alshon Jeffrey.
And Ryan.
There is absolutely no reason why O.J. Howard should be drafted before Cameron Brate. Well, welcome everybody again to another episode of Skull King Fantasy Football here on the podcast. My name is Ryan Skullerden. Usually we have my brother Justin and Greg with us. If you listen to our podcast on iTunes, you'll hear that we had Greg on the show, or Greg have his own little show that he's been going through a couple teams a day as we go into training camps.
He did Ravens and Bears today, I believe.
Yes, he did. Hit up the Ravens and Bears. The team he used to root for in the Bears. We're still figuring out who he roots for now. So we on the show today, we've got the guys from Beer Fueled Fantasy. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Nick Sparts, one of the three hosts.
I'm Dan Thury, one of the co-hosts.
All righty. And from another new podcast, we've got from Fantasy Football 101. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Roger from Fantasy 101 FB.
All right. So tonight, again, on the show, what we normally do is we go over the news and notes, what's going on in the last week. We cover that first. Tonight, since we only have Roger for probably the first half hour, we're going to go ahead and hit up our main topic tonight. What we're doing is we're looking at average draft position in this. What we'll do is we'll do 12-team leagues, since that for the most part tends to be the standard size. For 12-team leagues, we're going over guys that we think are being overdrafted according to their ADP. So we will be on fantasyfootballcalculator.com using the ADPs from there to kind of give our thoughts on players. And so why don't we go ahead? I've got one little announcement real quick. For those of you who support Skull King Football and Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast, we would love for you guys to support us also on Patreon. And we have a special thing going out for all the people who support us on Patreon. We are giving away a free 3-day pass to Vox DFS. They are our DFS consultant and lineup partners. They're giving free 3-day passes for DFS advice on their website for every person that decides to support us on Patreon. So I wanted to throw that out there. Give a shout out to one of our main sponsors, as you can see right here, Vox DFS at voxdfs.com. So, all right, here we go. So let's go ahead and just jump into the subject. Fantasy football guys overdrafted according to ADP. Is there someone who wants to go first? Or do we just want to here? I'll just pick. Dan, you can go first.
There we go.
Oh, no. All right, I can go first. So my guy, I picked Mike Gillislee. He's obviously a Patriot running back. If you take a Patriot running back before the 6th round, you're doing it wrong. He's going right now currently 509. Just some notes that I took down from our last show that we did on our show. He did really good in Buffalo last year. Obviously, he was great behind LaShawn McCoy, 5.7 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns, and only 101 carries. That yards per attempt is going to go down. And, with the Patriots, not really sure what they do with their running backs there. Should they cut Deion Lewis? They don't want to cut Deion Lewis. Is Gillislee just going to be running the football within the 3-yard line as they throw the ball to James White outside the 97 yards that are still left? So that's my guy that I pick is Mike Gillislee. I don't mean to take too long. Sorry.
All right, no, that's fine. The more stats we give to kind of support it, the better. Real quick, it looks according to. Am I on? Okay, just making sure I'm on center. It looks like right now he's actually going 410. Sorry, did you hear me, Dan?
No, I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that?
So he's actually going right now. He's going 4.10. So he's going.
Yeah,
even
that's what
earlier.
I saw as well. I think that's way too early for Patriots running back.
Are you
Too
sure?
busy.
Okay.
Too busy of a backfield. Are you looking fantasy pros or fantasy football calc?
Fantasy football calc 12 team, PPR league.
Yeah. Are we doing
that's
PPR
why.
standard?
I've been doing standard. My bad.
I'm sorry.
I'm looking at standard.
We'll stick with standard for right now.
Yeah, he's going
that-
410 in standard.
That
Lack
just
of,
proves my point even more.
lack of communication on my part, but yes, that proves your point even more. That he probably is being overdrafted a bit.
And he's going in front of guys like C.J. Anderson, who's proven it and is in a system that he's comfortable with. LeGarrette Blount, who probably has a little more upside in Philly. Dalvin Cook, who I like is kind of an upside play. I would all take over Gillislee.
Personally, for me, I'm okay. I'm not okay necessarily with taking Gillislee that early. I would probably take him. My reasoning for taking him a couple of rounds later than this right now is that he may get that work that LeGarrette Blount had. But again, LeGarrette Blount's work was so you didn't know if what week it was coming. So it's a matter of he may get the work, but it's not going to be consistent every week.
Well, and on top of it, there hasn't been a single Patriots offense that had a producer like that in the last 10 years. That was an anomaly.
Sure.
Like you can look back on Shane Vereen was the last running back taken by Patriot or the last Patriot running back taken in the first 6 rounds, and he put up. I had it here. Just 1 second. He had 96 carries, 391 yards, 2 touchdowns, 52 receptions, 450 yards, and 3 scores. So not a third round, type of stats you would want from your running back there.
Yeah. Roger,
Yeah.
any thoughts on this?
Okay, here's my thing with Gillislee. I feel like every Sunday, every game day, you're playing running back roulette in New England. Maybe they cut Deion Lewis. Maybe they don't. Maybe he catches 7 balls for 100 yards, or maybe that's James White. If you want to invest that high of a pick, I would probably look elsewhere because you're just hoping for a touchdown vulture in Gillislee.
Yeah, and there were so many anomalies last year that caused Blount to have such a great season. Brady had no rushing touchdowns, which hasn't happened in any previous year. You're just looking at something that doesn't usually happen, and betting that Gillislee is just going to become LeGarrette Blount 2.0 is probably too much of a gamble for me.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, they have too many weapons. I mean, just in the passing game, little screen passes, they can go to Edelman. I mean, just extensions of a running play.
Yeah, Gronk's healthy. They have Allen.
Yeah,
They've
Gronk's
added
healthy.
Cooks.
They pass the run.
They do.
They pass the run.
Really, yeah, really. Their running game is, for the most part, their running game is those short dump off passes, whether it be to James White or even quick over the middle to Edelman or someone like that.
So just to kind of spin this on its head, what would have to happen in that backfield to make you more confident in Gillislee?
For me, they would have had to have not gotten Rex Burkhead.
Okay.
I agree. That's another. I completely forgot about Rex Burkhead, actually. That's 3 running backs.
Yeah, they signed 3 running backs.
Yeah.
They paid James White, signed Rex Burkhead, and brought in Gillislee.
Yeah, so there really is. I mean, really, there would have to be, in order to have more confidence in Gillislee, there would have to be less people there.
So either an injury or a cut.
Correct. That would really, in order to put that much more oomph behind him. Yeah, that's what it would take for me.
All right.
Belichick would need to retire for me to feel confident. Say that. I'm just going to go with that.
Well, here's the deal. You always know that they're going to run the ball heavy when they play against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
Do they even play this year?
I don't know.
I don't
Because
think
Colts
they
didn't win the
do.
division.
Yeah, I don't think they do, but yeah, that's
Yes.
Well, look, here's the thing for Mike Gillislee. He went from the number 1 rushing team in Buffalo for 1 or 2, and now you're going to the Patriots where you're just it's a coin flip every single week on which guy's going to produce fantasy.
more of a dice roll with how many runners.
Yeah, exactly. More of a dice roll.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
Gillislee may hit. I'm just not willing to take the chance on it. I'll let him be somebody else's problem.
Way
I
too
agree.
much risk.
For me, it all depends on the guys in the league that I'm playing with and how willing they are to let him fall. So,
Well, yeah, if he fell to the 6th or 7th, we're talking.
yeah.
I don't think he will.
All right, Nick, who do you have?
The one I'm going to call out, who's kind of been floating in the second round is Marshawn Lynch. Report coming out now that he's probably capped at about 200 touches. He is behind a good offensive line, but I just don't think he's going to get fed enough to be a second-round pick.
Yeah, I can go with you there. I mean, being a Seattle Seahawks fan, I love Marshawn Lynch, but again, if they're capping him at 200 touches,
you're hoping for 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're hoping for most of those touches to be down at the 1 yard line, which they're more likely to give the ball to him than say Seattle in the Super Bowl.
Too soon.
You did that to yourself.
I do it to myself all the time. All right. So yeah, I can see that Marshawn Lynch is going to be overdrafted again, especially with the news about 200 touches. I could see him, late third, early fourth, where you've got a few more there ahead of him. There's a lot of upside there. So
yeah, I'm a lot more willing to take him if he falls past the turn in the third round. But in the second, there's other guys going around him I'd much rather have.
Correct.
So this is like the anti CJ Spiller news of like 5 years ago. They want to run him down the throat.
Yeah.
We're going to limit him. But yeah, he's 31, coming off a major back issue, which made him retire for a year. He is behind a good offensive line, but it is a pass-first offense. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So, all right.
I did a couple of mocks with Marshawn, and everywhere he was going was, back end of 2, early 3. I'll take a flyer on him in 3. I just don't know if I can go round 2 for Marshawn. It's kind of high especially now hearing he's going to get capped at 200.
I wouldn't trust him as my RB1. Like if I can get him paired with a guy from the first round or a guy from the second round, I guess I'd be a little more confident with it.
Yeah. Again, a lot of it would depend on how you draft. If you take a receiver in the first round, you're not going to want to take Lynch with your second pick.
No.
So
that would feel awful.
But let's say you get 1, 2, or 3 where it's Johnson, Bell, and Zeke. Will you take Marshawn in that back second?
If you get one of those 3 back of the second, no.
I try to wait
into the second. Will you take Marshawn?
I would try to right around the turn.
Yeah, I would go ahead and take. I would probably take a wide receiver there and wait for Marshawn to come back around.
Yeah, I'd rather grab Baldwin, somebody like that, wait around the turn and see if I can grab Lynch on the other side.
Again.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Roger, you got someone who's being overdrafted?
I do, and I like the guy, and he's a big name and everything, but just something about the injury. Let's go back to New England, and I can't do Gronk in the second round for a tight end. I'd rather.
Oh, we're transitioning to tight end.
I'm sorry. I thought we were going running back. Oh, shoot.
Stick with running backs.
Well, then I'm going to go with Isaiah Crowell, actually.
Here we go.
I didn't like him. I see average position, round 3, third pick in the third round. Oh, I just don't know. Like, I hear he's going to get involved more. And even on our Instagram, I had a bold prediction for him, but again, it was a bold prediction. I don't know if Isaiah's going to top 1,000 this year. I don't think he's done it yet.
No, he was 950 last year.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I feel like if you're, the Browns don't have much, stack the box, and
all right.
I'm passing on.
Do you want to go to his defense, Dan, or am I doing this?
Well, you can combo it. So the Browns are projected to have a top 5 offensive line.
Yeah.
They're going to be a run. This is going to be a team built to run and then play defense. Their defense got better. They're going to have a top running attack. You can't trust Kaiser. You can't trust Kessler. I'm not even going to talk about Brock because I don't care about Brock. He's not set in stone to get 1,200-1,300, but if you're going to bet on the Browns to be better this year, it's going to be through the running game. It's going to be through Crowell. I'm going to take that chance on him.
Yeah, and the big things to see, besides the improvement of the offensive line, is that the pass game should be better because they brought in Kenny Britt, paired him with Coleman, who's healthy, brought in Njoku, so that should be at least a threat of a passing game. And now they're going to move Duke Johnson out into the slot, so he's going to get less competition for his runs.
That was the big point that we hit that came up yesterday. That I think that really helps out Isaiah Crowell is the fact that they're going to move Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson's the top guy to be the top option to be the slot to fill in. Was it Andrew Hawkins? Was that who was?
Yes. Yep. Who retired?
Who just retired? So I think that I really do believe that's. I think that Crowell is going to be the guy this year. I can see 1,200 yards out of him personally.
Yeah.
And if you can get that at the beginning of the third round, I'll take it.
Well, and the other thing people forget is he's only 24 years old.
Correct.
Feels like he's been in the league forever, but he really hasn't.
He was just behind Terrence West and who was the other guy? Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
It was just ugly.
was it Ben Tate? Was that who they had?
Yes.
They had Ben Tate for a while.
Mr. Journeyman Ben Tate.
Yes.
I don't know, guys.
Jag himself.
I hope I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm betting a lot on somebody on the Cleveland Browns.
So he definitely falls into the tier of guys where there's a lot of upside, but you feel really nervous taking him.
Exactly.
It's the Browns. That's why. It's just a Browns thing. That's it.
I think that's what it is. I don't know if I would take him pick 3 where he's going in the third round, but I would take him on the back end of the third round.
Okay.
Who are some guys you take ahead of him? Just some other running backs you take ahead of him.
Like, would you rather have him or Mixon, him or Hyde?
I'm staying away from Carlos Hyde all season long. But honestly, I like Joe Mixon. I do think that guy's going to take over the Cincinnati backfield. I mean, he's a 3-down back. Bernard and Hill aren't even going to be needed soon. That's just my opinion.
Miller?
Lamar Miller?
Yeah, would you take Miller or Crowell?
Lamar Miller.
Okay.
I'd take Lamar Miller.
I like Crowell slightly more than Miller myself.
Yeah.
They're a coin flip for me.
Yeah. I think they're –
as you saw how I picked in our mock draft last week. So,
yeah, that's the kind of range you're looking at. Is that back in the second, start of the third? Those are the guys going.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where you may not feel great about it, but that's where it is.
Yeah, you got to pull the trigger, I guess. There, right?
And running backs are not deep; they fall off after about 14, 15 guys.
It's so gross after the third, fourth round. I think after Ty Montgomery, I feel really dirty after Ty. So.
Yeah, Ty's the last one I like.
Especially saying now it's a different story in PPR just because of the way the scoring is.
Yes,
other guys bring up, but when it comes to standard, you get after those first 15 or so. I can actually honestly say that I have owned Isaiah Crowell on at least one team every year of his career.
I have as well. He actually was on 2 of my teams last year that won titles.
He actually going back, and I actually streamed both him and Terrence West back and forth, trying to figure out who was actually going to get the. I had both of them on my team.
Oh, his rookie year, I remember that.
On the rookie year. So.
The Browns scored like 20, like 25 rushing touchdowns too.
Yeah, they had no passing touchdowns all year.
It was so gross.
That was the Josh Gordon's going to come back any week now year.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that game.
So let's go ahead and move on. I'll go ahead and throw mine out real quick. I always think that Carlos Hyde is overdrafted personally because I always think there's so much hype around Carlos Hyde and how good he can be, and we've seen glimpses of that. Even last year, he approached the 1,000-yard mark rushing. Honestly, for me, it's his health that's always given me cause for concern. What causes me to back off even more is the fact that it's a new regime in San Francisco. Yes, it's not so much they drafted Joe Williams. It's more the fact that in the preseason, they were already saying that they were having some issues with the fact that Carlos Hyde has had problems staying healthy, and they're purposely bringing in competition because of that. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much that it's that I like Joe Williams behind him. It's I don't like Carlos Hyde's injury history. And while he's very talented, I don't feel confident taking him anywhere near even the back end of the third where he's going right now.
No, he's a player I absolutely agree that I'm very nervous about. How much of this is because you're a Seahawks fan?
Honestly, it's not. Hey, I've willingly drafted and traded for Tom Brady, so this has nothing to do with being a Seahawks 49ers thing.
I just had to get that in. But Carlos Hyde is a very interesting player, but they brought in 4 players to compete with him. They brought in Hightower, Breida, Williams, and Bibbs.
Yep.
It's obvious Shanahan's looking for his guy, and he's not sure Hyde's it. So you're taking a lot of risk if you draft him, especially this early. We're going to know a lot more a few weeks into preseason.
I still think he gets cut. I know that it came out yesterday that he might be a surprise cut, I cheered because I drafted Carlos Hyde in my startup dynasty just for the simple fact is I think he'll get cut.
Yeah.
And, I'm hoping he goes somewhere to a team that needs a running back. Unfortunately, after this draft, you don't have that many teams left.
No.
I was hoping he'd go to Baltimore maybe with the Dixon being gone for the year. I don't like Bobby Rainey there, so maybe he still could go there. But that's just kind of my hope with Hyde at this point is that he gets cut and, he moves on to a team, A, with the better offensive line and B, with the better schedule for running backs.
Well, and a better scheme fit.
Yeah,
I don't think Shanahan likes his type of player.
No.
Carlos Hyde is a gap runner. You run, like you wouldn't like junior high. It's not a zone scheme. It's, the three running back or the two running back runs it through the 5-hole or through the 3-hole. That's where you go. That's the type of runner that Carlos Hyde is. He's not a sit and wait and be patient for the holes to develop as you watch where the offensive line's going, which is the kind of zone scheme that Shanahan runs. That's not the type of runner that Carlos Hyde is. So he's, like you said, Nick, he's not a zone fit.
No, he's not only not a zone fit, he's a downfield runner as opposed to a more shifty guy, which Shanahan seems to have an affinity for.
Yep.
Even Morris, who was his most downfield runner, had a lot of patience, would read, make cuts.
Yep.
But Hyde's a one-cut-and-go guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I'll let him be somebody else's problem. That one Monday night game, week 1, a couple years back against Minnesota.
I don't want to talk about that.
I thought San Francisco had something there. I thought,
why would you bring that up?
I thought they had something, and then it just went downhill from there. I think he had 3 consecutive weeks last year and the year before that where I don't think he topped over 50 rushing yards. Injury concern.
He's been on some terrible teams.
True.
He has, but Isaiah Crowell's on a pretty terrible team.
He is, and he's also had some terrible weeks too.
And that's who.
So from me, Hyde's not the question of talent. It's situation in coaching.
And health.
And health, yes.
I feel he just can't stay healthy.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to wide receivers. And this time we'll start with Nick.
Well, I'm going to jump over the easy fruit of Tyreek Hill.
Enough's been said about Tyreek Hill.
Pretty much.
Well, a guy I would personally not take in the 4th round is Devontae Adams. Catch rate's a little too low for my liking. Randall Cobb's going to be healthy this year. They added Martellus Bennett. You're expecting some touchdown regression. I'm just not really looking at investing a 4th round pick in him. No.
Again, you look at how, you talk about touchdown regression. What did he finish with 12 last year?
Yes.
So 12 touchdowns and under 1,000. Was he even under? Did he even make it to 900 yards receiving?
I think he was about 880.
880, yeah. So I mean, there have been 3 other wide receivers who have ever, or 2 other wide receivers who have ever gotten that many touchdowns on that few receiving yards.
Yeah.
So,
it was a tight end stat line.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you obviously can't. You've got to expect regression, and you look at Cobb. I mean, Cobb right now, you can get him in the 10th for crying out loud in a lot of drafts. So obviously, I think that Cobb could come back and be that number 2 guy again. Devontae Adams was helped out by the fact that Cobb was unhealthy and that Jordy Nelson was back and healthy, because Adams proved the previous year he can't be the number 1 when they tried to put that on him when Jordy Nelson went out at the beginning of the year. So,
yep. I agree.
I agree. I mean, I like him round 5, maybe round 6, but 4 I think is a little too high. I'm curious. It's just a little thing out there. Wide receivers age 32. It's like a curse year. They regress a little. Jordy Nelson's 32. I wonder if that has any impact at all for him.
I mean,
maybe
it's like it's a real minor thing, but I saw Brandon Marshall had it last year. Larry Fitzgerald, they kind of regressed. Call it quarterback play. Neither one of these guys have Aaron Rodgers. I get it.
Fitz was a little different because Palmer regressed across the board.
Yeah, Palmer regressed completely. But I would agree. I would probably like him more in 5 or 6. More 6.
Yeah, 6 I'd be comfortable taking him. I'm not comfortable in 4.
Not 4.
I'd be great if he's my wide receiver 3. If I let's say went a little, went a little heavy in the wide receiver draft, I would be more comfortable as my 3/flex play.
All
Excuse
right.
me.
All right, not a problem. Roger, you got a wide receiver that you think's being overdrafted?
Yeah, Keenan Allen. I
Ooh.
see him in round 4 a lot, and I don't know, man. Just the injury history again. I feel like there's a lot to go around in in LA now. Yeah,
And
I
no
still
longer
got to
San Diego.
Yeah, I got to get used to that. Being from San Diego, actually, I got to get used to that.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm not a Chargers fan. It's all right. So
I couldn't tell from the Cowboys jersey.
yeah, with the Cowboys jersey. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's health. I feel like I don't know, the Chargers snake bin every year is something like the injury bug hits him, and now he's got Tyrell Williams. Who I get it. Keenan Allen's more talented. Hunter Henry's there. If Mike Williams comes in and doesn't miss a season, I'm not comfortable at 4. I like him 6 or 7. I'll take him, but
There's 0% chance of that happening.
Yeah. I'll let him be somebody else's problem, kind of like Carlos Hyde. I'll just pass. Like,
See, I'm a little higher on Allen. Not as quite as much in standard, but in PPR leagues especially, he's such a volume catcher. Rivers feeds him whenever he's on the field, and he's shown himself to be an elite talent. And his injuries have been very weird. It's a lacerated kidney, an ACL, stuff that's not – it's not like a hamstring. He's not Miles Austin.
Right, no, he's not Miles Austin. In the PPR, I would definitely agree with you. In the standard, I probably wouldn't draft him because he probably wouldn't make it to 6. And I would not be comfortable taking him before that.
He doesn't have the touchdown volume. There's going to be too many guys in the red zone taking those looks with, Gates. Henry came out, on his own last year being a good red zone threat. Mike Williams is big enough to be a red zone threat. Now he has to stay healthy. Yeah, he has to stay healthy. And they also, I believe Tyrell is what, 6'3", 2?
Yeah,
6'2".
6'2". Benjamin's also pretty big as well. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". But, there's a lot of good red zone targets there, and Keenan is just the underneath guy that gets all the volume.
I didn't know Travis Benjamin was that big.
I thought he was
a little.
I may just pull the Hopper, but maybe
he's 5'10".
So shout out to Hopper there. Shout out to our third co-host who gets all the height and weight run.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 175.
I thought he was bigger. My bad.
All right. With Keenan Allen, I can see him being I'm a little leery when it comes to drafting a guy that's been as injury prone as he has. And like you said, it's not football really related injuries. He had the torn ACL last year, but like you said, the lacerated kidney, had some shoulder. I want to say it was shoulder issues early in his career.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it may not be football related injuries, but there are some guys that their bodies just can't take the punishment, and maybe that's Keenan Allen. And so for that reason, I'm hesitant to take him that early in a standard, PPR, maybe, depending on who else I've got. So, Nick, you look like you have something to say, or like you're about to laugh at us.
Little column A, little column B. Standard leagues, I agree, but I am targeting him in PPR, even half point. The volume's there, and if he plays an entire season, he's going to finish top 8.
True. All right, Dan.
So my guy is Martavis Bryant.
We're going to beat this horse again.
I know it gets beat a lot, but he's going 4.10 right now. I get it. He flashed when he came out. A lot of big plays, a lot of touchdowns, but he hasn't played in a year. And you're taking a huge risk in a spot where you should try to go a little bit safer when you're trying to build your team around your first, 5 to 6 round picks. I'm not taking that big of a risk on a guy who hasn't even played in a year.
Anyone jumping in on that?
I'll agree. I said in our last podcast, and the guys were kind of grilling me about it. It's a big risk. He hasn't played in a year. He's shown the flashes, but another thing, I don't know if Big Ben trusts him. There was an article that came out. He said he wanted to talk to him. He said felt like he let down the team, like he let him down. If there's no trust, I don't know where the trust is going to be on the field. I hear Juju Smith-Schuster's kind of taking over there at the 2.
Yeah, he's
more at the 3.
Juju's a second-round pick. Rogers
Juju's
was
big
productive last year. Jesse James is in his second year. Le'Veon Bell always has targets. And Roethlisberger can't stay healthy. There's a lot of question marks, even if Bryant plays the whole year.
Well, the one they still have what, Landry Jones as their backup there.
Oh my God! Or is it Dobbs?
Josh Dobbs.
Hey, I like Josh Dobbs.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. If Roethlisberger goes out, the guy that Landry seems to target is Bryant. It's not Brown, though. That's one thing that comes up, though. I'm still not trusting Martavis Bryant. I mean, yeah, I took. I took him as was it fifth round, end of the fourth, beginning of the fifth.
Yeah.
Draft. You know, it was from what I could see on the draft board, it was the guy that I kind of like there. I probably should have waited, but anyways, moving on. Anyone else? Any more thoughts on Martavis Bryant?
I mean, right now he's going. I was going to say he's going in front of Michael Crabtree, which I think is criminal.
Nah, that's way wrong. I'm just saying on your team, Ryan, is that you built, you drafted a little more safer wide receivers after you took Bryant, which I believe is the way to go if you're going to take a guy that high with that much risk to him.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome.
That's not the closest thing you get to a compliment in this industry.
You did kind of good, well, sir.
All right. My guy, we talk about him all the time on our podcast. My guy that's being overdrafted is Alshon Jeffrey at the end of the third. And so here's kind of my thoughts on Alshon Jeffrey. He dealt with the suspension last year. His best year was 3 years ago. He was on a tear for a monster year in 2015, but couldn't stay healthy because of his hamstrings. Got the suspension last year and just didn't seem to be on the same page, obviously, because, was it Brian Hoyer like throwing to Cam Meredith and no one else, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And so for me, Alshon Jeffrey is going to a team that's got a second-year quarterback that they want to take down. They want to back off on the amount of passes that he throws, because last year Carson Wentz threw 7 less passes than he did his entire college career.
Wow.
They want, and he's had some mechanics issues, which has caused shoulder issues in the offseason. So they've got that. They've got a top. Some are saying a top 5 offensive line, so that they're going to want to run the ball more.
They brought in Pumphrey. They brought in Blunt.
They brought in a whole bunch of running backs. Plus, I mean, not that he has much competition in terms of wide receivers with Torrey Smith, and now like we heard, Nick mentioned earlier today, that Jordan Matthews has some knee issues that he's dealing with. So that could push Alshon Jeffrey up a little bit. Just for me, I have trouble trusting him going to a team that's going to focus more on the run, pull back on the pass. And Alshon Jeffrey, to me, for the most part, hasn't really proven to be a number one or that top guy without another solid wide receiver on the other side of him. His best years were with Brandon Marshall.
So he's going at 312. Who after him would you take next? Or who would you take over him that's going after him?
Running backs.
Oh, just running backs?
Honestly, I mean, for me, end of the third and into the fifth, since I tend to draft wide receiver heavy early, for me, I would be looking more to build up running back depth at that point. So so for me, it's somewhat draft strategy in how I draft. But for me, after him, I'd be willing to take Allen Robinson, believe it or not.
I would agree with that.
I would too.
Oh,
yeah.
See, then we've got 4 guys in a row basically we all talk about: Adams, Allen, Hill, and Bryant, that we all think are being overdrafted.
Yep.
I would take Crabtree over Jeffrey.
Landry?
And even in standard, I would probably take Landry over him.
Okay.
So
you just think he's got a really low floor and that you're running away from it.
Correct. So
all right.
Yeah, I agree. Like, dude, I watched him at South Carolina and Chicago, I feel like he was never in sync with his quarterback other than that one monster year he had. I think that was just because of Brandon Marshall, to be honest with you. And I want to tell you that, all right, Alshon's going to make it happen this year because Jordan Matthews drops balls like crazy. Nelson Aguilar drops like crazy. His other competition is Torrey Smith. But I think the floor is too low. It's too risky for me to take him in round 3.
See, the reason I think he'll be okay is even though they're going to throw less passes in Philly, I think he's still going to get 140 targets. And he's good enough. If he gets 140 targets, he's going to be a top 15, 16 receiver.
And he's going to prove it. Like, he signed this 1-year deal because he wants a bigger contract. He turned down a Vikings, a 3-year deal for even more money per year because he wants more money than that, and he wants to prove it. And he is the guy there. Outside of maybe Zach Ertz, I don't see who else is going to get red zone targets there. I mean,
for the most part, it'll be Ertz. He led the team in receptions and receiving yards last year.
Wow, look what they were dealing with last year too.
Yeah, they didn't have a guy like Alshon.
Yeah, they brought in Alshon and Torrey for that issue. So I think he's got enough of a ceiling. I'm still interested in the late 3rd, early 4th, but I would take Robinson. I would take Crabtree over him.
All right.
Yeah, I would take both and Landry.
All right.
In a standard, I wouldn't do Landry.
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on. I think we'll at this point. Roger, you got to go. Are you still on for a little bit?
Yeah, I think we can finish off. What's the next one here?
Let's do tight ends real quick then, and we'll go ahead and since you were so eager to hit up.
I was so eager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us why you hate Gronk.
I don't know. I don't hate Gronk. I really don't. I like the guy, like his character, but I just can't. I don't know, man. Just can't stay healthy. And in round 2, I'll go a few other ways when I feel like I can get another tight end, maybe Jordan Reed, maybe even honestly, for the value I can get in 2, I'd be comfortable taking somebody like Kyle Rudolph later in the draft. But
yeah, I agree.
I can't take Gronk in the 2nd round. Like I can't.
I can't take a tight end in the 2nd round.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's just you need receivers and running backs. I know when Gronk's healthy, he can put up wide receiver 1 numbers, but A's got to stay healthy, and B's got to stay healthy, and C's got to stay healthy.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and we talked about it. Running backs are scarce. So you tell me in round 2, instead of taking a running back, you're going to go and take a tight end. I don't see that, man. I just can't do it.
Yep, I completely agree.
And it's this issue with most standard leagues is either both quarterback and tight end are just not valued highly enough, so you have to punt them to grab wide receivers and running backs.
I agree. I feel like the name fools you. Like, you see Gronkowski, and you just gravitate, and people take him in the 2nd round, and I don't like it.
I agree. I've never, even in some PPR leagues, I've never been willing to take Rob Gronkowski as early as he's been going. Well, I want to say, was it 2 years ago where he was like the number, I want to say like number 6 overall, ranked number 8 overall, and I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it either.
I'm not gonna happen. So
yeah, actually, that happened last year, and he was there for me in round 1. I think he was ranked 8th overall. What was it?
Yeah, that was 2015.
Oh, 15. Yeah. And I took Dez Bryant actually instead. I mean, he got injured, but I felt more comfortable with Dez.
And you can test us with a mock. If you draft Gronk in the first 2 rounds and look at your team, you're probably not going to like it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right. Dan, go ahead. Tight end.
Tight end. I know it's going to be Tyler Eifert. I just got to see where he is.
Doesn't matter where he's going.
I mean, it's the same with Gronk. It's just the injury issues. I nicknamed him Baby Gronk in a way, but for me, it's just because the tight ends are a little bit deeper. I think this year, I tend to wait even longer on them, and I like guys like Jack Doyle ahead of them. I like Kyle Rudolph. I like Delaney Walker. Martellus Bennett. So I would prefer to wait my turn instead of taking him in the first pick in the 7th round.
I agree with you there. Too much injury history, and so yeah, I'm agree with you there. I don't like Eifert.
Yeah, I'm taking everyone around him.
Nick, go ahead. Your tight end.
All right, I'm going to make it real quick and simple. OJ Howard should not be drafted.
Yes.
Take Cameron Brate. Do not take OJ Howard. He doesn't know how to catch the football yet.
Brate's not dead yet. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brate's the one to own this year. Howard, check back next year.
Yep.
Yeah, do not let the national championship games fool you. Those were 2 games he did not produce during the season for Alabama. Not
Nope.
like that. No.
He was a great blocker, terrible
Yeah.
receiver.
Do not take OJ Howard.
He might just end up being a really good NFL player. Like if they don't get rid of Brate, Brate could still have value even just beyond this year. I mean,
Yeah.
Winston trusts Brate. He trusts Brate on third down. He trusts Brate, in the red zone. Even with Mike Evans there, he trusts Brate, and Brate's not going anywhere. So
If they do that, they could end up moving Brate into a move tight end situation and keep both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of depth at receiver right now, so.
Deshaun won't be there forever.
But Chris Godwin.
I know. I'm so excited.
Hey, I'm excited about Chris Godwin.
I love Chris Godwin.
All right. You guys pretty much took my 3, so
Oh, no.
not even joking. Not even joking. Gronkowski, Eifert because the injuries, and then OJ Howard because it's OJ Howard. He shouldn't be drafted above Cameron Brate. So, all right. Well, if that's it, do we really need to hit on quarterbacks? I mean, let's be honest. Quarterbacks.
Wait. Just wait.
Wait on quarterbacks.
Yeah, agreed.
Aaron Rodgers at the end of the second, Tom Brady at the beginning of the third, Drew Brees in the fourth.
God, so
Andrew Luck in the fifth, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan and Derek Carr in the sixth, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton in the seventh, and the injury-prone Ben Roethlisberger in the eighth. Wait on your quarterbacks.
Wilson in the seventh is the first I think I might swing at ADP.
Yeah, that's actually not too shabby.
The rest of them, no.
I'll take Kirk Cousins at the end of the eighth, or Philip Rivers, Matthew Stafford, or Eli Manning in the 10th and 11th.
Yeah,
I don't want Manning. He screwed me too many times.
I'll tell you guys where I went with quarterback last year. I took Matt Ryan 11th round, and I took Dak Prescott last pick. I feel like that worked out for me. So.
That worked out all right.
I picked up Matt Ryan for waivers in a 16-team league. Yeah, my team was horrible because of injuries, but I was happy.
And the other two I would target would be Winston and Mariota. They may go earlier, but if they do fall, also two major upside guys.
Yeah, don't reach for these quarterbacks.
Nope.
All right. Well, that's it that we have for our ADP section. We're going to go over some news and notes. Roger, it's been great to have you on from Fantasy Football 101.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Nice meeting you, man.
Nice meeting you, man.
Yeah, we'll do this again soon. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right. Not a problem.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Okay. So I am currently trying to pull up the SleeperBot feed on the computer.
Let me pick up Roto World as well, so we have that.
Yeah.
And Bleacher. Because we need all the news today.
Oh, bring it.
Yeah.
It's been a busy 2 days.
Feed me.
Update on Devontae Booker. He may be out 6 to 8 weeks.
What?
So, D'Angelo Henderson time.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll pick somebody up too. I mean, that's
if Charles is there, they won't.
That's 2.5 healthy running backs right now. Just 2.5. Charles isn't completely healthy, I don't think. I mean, if he is.
Give me just a second to pull this up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. I was going to say, oh, great.
While you're doing that, I'm going to pour a 40 out for Bridgewater.
He might play this year.
He might, but he's on the PUP list for now.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually better than just not, just being on IR at this point.
Well, think about how bad his.
He's way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
I almost rage quit my job when that happened.
I think I cried a little bit because it was just like he's such a good person.
Yeah.
And like you don't want to see that happen to anybody, but to happen to him, because Nick and I being from Minnesota, we've kind of been behind this guy since he's been drafted. So.
Yeah, I was screaming my head off when he got drafted. He was my favorite player in that draft.
All right. Yeah, the Seahawks actually traded out of the first round on that one.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because that would have been their pick.
Yeah, we traded in from 207.
And there's a little bit of hurt because the guy taken right after him was Mr. Carr. So
I don't think he'd live behind our offensive line, though.
no. well. Sam Bradford did, which shocked the whole world.
Well, Sam Bradford had to dump off everything to make that work.
That's
Set a
He
true.
broke
completion
the
record.
to do it.
All right. Let me.
All right.
I think I finally got it. Oh, are you kidding me?
If you're having trouble, do you want me to just lead off with news for you?
It keeps saying that my password's incorrect, and I just changed it. I love it.
Servers getting downloaded too much or something? I've got it pulled up in RotoWorld if you want me to just lead it off. We are live.
Yes, we are live. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just go ahead and go with it.
All right, I'm just going to hit some things I looked at I think are interesting. Rumor is Nelson Aguilar has the slot role locked down, according to beat reporters.
That's because Jordan Matthews can't stay healthy.
That would
is true.
be the only reason that he has the slot receiver spot not locked down, because he can't catch the ball.
All right. Though I think he would work better in the slot because they've never run him out of that.
That's
They've
true.
only run him outside.
He's had some praise this off season, so I mean, I think just helps just once out just in terms of fantasy wise. But
So, and Ryan, do you play any Dynasty at all?
I do not. I've been looking for the right dynasty league to get involved in.
I had one extra spot and I just filled it up last night.
Let's go to 14 teams and get him in.
No, I might, so maybe.
All right. So we already went over Devontae Booker. Flacco's injury, where rumors he may miss 3 to 6 weeks, including the first week or two of the season.
So to tandem along with that, I actually saw. I want to say it was actually on SleeperBot that there's a possibility that Baltimore would be open to looking at Colin Kaepernick if it seems like Flacco is out long term.
Calm down, Dan.
Dan is not a Cap fan, I believe.
It doesn't seem like it when I mentioned it earlier.
No, I just trust Ryan Mallett more than I would trust Kaepernick.
My biggest issue with pulling in Kaepernick this late is he's shown issues with learning offensive playbooks. If he'd been there the whole offseason, I'd feel a lot more confident about that.
I can agree with you there. I think that he can be successful as a one-read quarterback. I have, for me, he's had issues. I don't care about the out the field stuff. I take issue with the fact that he has problems doing more than one read. He's a freak of an athlete. Can run the crap out of the ball. In terms of running an offense that's in Baltimore is very pass heavy. I just don't think that's the right fit.
Yeah, it's very pass heavy, and they'd have to retailor it just for him.
Correct.
Other big news here, John Ross is still sidelined with his shoulder surgery that he had in the offseason. Still probably a couple weeks off.
Doesn't surprise me. Even as a Husky fan that, got to watch John Ross all of his career, I think that in order for him to be successful, he is going to need to put on a little weight, little muscle to get, a little bit bigger, more the size of, he's not much smaller than like a T.Y. Hilton. But if you were to put on a little bit more muscle mass, it may take a little bit off his speed, just a touch. But I think it'll help keep him healthier so that he could possibly, in terms of drafting right now, could be a dynasty type of guy to look forward, kind of hold on to for later down the road.
So since you're a Husky fan, you may have a bigger opinion on this. Do you think he was overdrafted at 9?
Yes.
Okay.
We all agree from there.
Yeah, we thought it was a reach too.
Well, I was quite amazed at all of how all three of the top wide receivers went. What was it? The top 10?
It was 5, 7, 9.
9.
So yeah, so that I think he was overdrafted. I was looking at him being like the second or like the third wide receiver taken at like number 17 or 18.
Yeah, I thought he was a back half of the first round.
So
Williams,
yeah,
I thought was a little early. Davis was fine. He's good enough. Theo Riddick is going to be a major red zone threat for the Lions with Bolden gone.
Love
Okay.
it. I don't trust Amir Abdullah, and I think Stafford just believes in Riddick. I think this team believes in Riddick, and I think this is good for Riddick.
Here's my thing about the Lions. There's been a lot coming out in Lions camp. You've got talk of getting Eric Ebron more involved, especially in the red zone.
Well, the Ebron hype's gotten out of control. I
Yes.
love him, but that's getting crazy.
I actually took him as my second tight end in the Scott Fish Bowl behind Greg Olson. I think that
Nice.
he could possibly do very well, and in that format where it's not PPR, it's points per first down, and for tight ends it's 2.5 points per first down.
Yeah, it's very tight end premium.
It's very tight end premium. So being able to get him as a second, I think that could go well. Today, who was it? Greg talked about him on his little mini podcast that I'll be posting later. That in terms of Ebron, he's had 7 touchdowns in his 3-year career, 1 in his first year, 5 in his second year, 1 last year. That concerns me a little bit. I know they want to get him, so they want to get him more involved in the red zone. So in terms of Riddick, they've also got Kenny Golladay that a lot of people think that is going to take over that Bolden role in the slot. So there's a lot of pieces in there that could possibly take over that role. So for me, I'll still take Theo Riddick as a PPR back. I'm not going to necessarily count on the touchdown production though.
No, I wouldn't trust any Lion backfield in standard league because I don't think they really know what they want to do there. Like I don't trust Amir Abdullah to stay healthy. I mean, I just don't trust him that much.
Well, and Riddick's had some health issues too.
Yeah.
Well, Riddick's health issues, though, have for the most part been because of the fact that Amir Abdullah got hurt. He was forced into a main role, and he's not built for that.
He got overused.
Yeah, way overused.
All right. Well, the big news from yesterday, Dixon's done for the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
my heart hurts.
So how far does that bump up Woodhead and West for you?
In PPR, for me, it doesn't do much for Woodhead just because I already had Woodhead as a decent option in PPR. I think he'll get the touches. I mean, it bumps him up a little bit. In terms of West, it moves West up a lot, especially in standard for me, because who else are they going to run the ball with?
Yeah. Buck Allen? No.
Taliaferro?
Bobby Rainey.
Yeah,
That's even worse. They keep getting worse.
So yeah, for me,
So it bumps West for you mostly.
Mainly it bumps West again because I already had Woodhead at a decent spot in terms of PPR. So
Okay. I'm just trying to go back through here. It gets a lot less interesting after that bomb that dropped.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, the other 2 pieces of news are just going to be that there should be a Zeke report here for his suspension here soon. TM.
Yep, the Chargers too. Yeah, the RG3 news with the Chargers.
Well, they traded for Cordero Jones, so that's not going to happen.
That's what I meant. But this also then opens up maybe, RG3 going to Baltimore if the Chargers don't. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying it's just one other option too.
These are low-end backup quarterbacks. I don't think fantasy matters much.
I know.
No.
Yeah, we already talked about Juke Johnson being in the slot. Reports are Rob Kelly's going to start the season, which is not what I originally expected.
See,
I know I did.
For me, it's not necessarily that I expected it. For me, it was a coin flip. For me, I kind of like them both in that system. It's a matter of wait and see because I have no clue which one's going to start. So saying that Rob Kelly's going to start, I've drafted Rob Kelly in a couple mocks and a couple drafts. I like him. I still kind of like Perrine as well. It's just a matter of, is Robert Kelly going to actually produce? I mean, last year he didn't get the starting role until what was it, like week 8 or week 9. officially.
When they finally booted Matt Jones.
Yeah, when they finally put Matt Jones on non-injury scratch for the last half of the season. So I'm good with either one of them, honestly. Whichever one actually gets the starting position, I would have an interest in drafting.
Yeah, I'm fine with whichever one gets fed. I just figured it would be Perrine since they put a 4th-round pick on him.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for major news. I'm kind of going back even further to the 22nd, 21st, and it gets pretty meh past the last couple of days.
Yeah,
it's mostly the Deontay Foreman stuff.
Yeah, which really for the most part isn't. I'm not too beat up on that one. Since that's happened, it's actually come out that he has passed his drug test.
Yeah, it came negative.
It came negative, so he obviously wasn't smoking dope like the guy in the car was.
And that should make the gun charge go away, since that was why he got a citation for that.
Correct, because he legally owns the gun. It's registered in his name, so.
And he wasn't intoxicated when he had it.
Correct. So yeah, so I mean, I guess that pretty much does it for the news and notes. Then.
What about Jordan Reed going on PUP list?
That is one I did miss. Jordan Reed is on PUP.
That's kind of big. Vernon Davis
gets a little bit of a boost.
Tied in one, maybe with Reed if Reed's gonna miss it for 6 weeks.
True.
Yeah, Reed got hurt. Davis is definitely draftable.
I honestly, I know it sounds kind of funny, but that's about the only situation where I could see handcuffing a tight end.
Yeah.
The only other one would be Gronk and Allen.
Possibly. I'm not completely sold on Allen. But yeah, that's definitely would be the only other possible option. But with how well that Vernon Davis has proven that for the most part he's not a number one, but can step into that role when necessary.
When he gets the targets.
So.
All right. Well, we're at midnight. Is that all you want to do?
I think that's it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys again so much for being on the show tonight. The guys from Beer Fueled Fantasy. Again, if you guys could just give us a little rundown of what you guys do for your podcasts and when you post your episodes.
All right. So we're pretty new, but we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday here through the entire season. And we're going to go ahead and do waivers, rundowns, all that classic stuff. And we review craft beer with every single episode.
Awesome. And when do you guys post your episodes?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Alrighty. So again, for Nick and Dan from Beer Fueled Fantasy and Roger, who had to leave us a little bit earlier from Fantasy Football 101, this has been the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan Skulrud. Thanks again, guys, for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
Later.
See you guys.
Hey, Skull King Nation. Thank you for listening to the Skull King Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.